Hey Posh Hearts, it's Simone here, and we are going to be talking about smart and effective sampling today. So, we did go over some different ways that you could be handing out pink packets and different things that you can be including with orders or or recruiting packets or anything like that last week. So, if you did not get a chance to watch that, be sure to watch that because I do show you more examples of how things that you can be including in your sample packs and stuff. But this one, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how you can be, I guess, intentional in your sampling and hopefully have a better return of investment or ROI if you want to get all technical, okay? So sampling doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. Sampling is something that doesn't even have to be your traditional sense of sampling. It doesn't have to be a bunch of portal samples. It doesn't have to be super fancy or anything like that. So keep that in mind that when you are doing something that, hey Mel, thanks for jumping on. So yeah, like sampling doesn't have to be this whole production. Depending on where you are in your business, sampling and how you sample is going to kind of reflect that. Some things that I want you guys to keep in mind is that what you are seeing with how everyone else does it doesn't necessarily need to be how you do it. Okay, I wish I'd gotten more examples ready for you guys, but if you guys I'm just going to explain some of my examples really quick, but you can think outside of the box when you are sampling and when it comes to sampling. The portal samples, so like these, right, the packets are amazing and they're awesome, and Tony has been doing a really great job keeping these in stock. So if you have the resources to purchase these samples, like Perks, I always use Perks for my samples. If you have that and it's just something that you can be using, to buy with Perks and the portal, all that fun stuff, then these are an amazing way to go. But if you are brand new or you do not have the funds on hand to put a lot of money out into samples, then we're going to think in different ways of how you can be sampling, okay? There are two other ways that you can be sampling. You can be sampling with Laycons. So these are Laycons here, right? These black hinged topped containers. You can be sampling with these Laycons here. The portal does have a larger size than this one, or you can purchase these yourself, and these ones are the smaller size. We do have a where to buy supplies resources tab, a resource file in the team page if you guys are wondering where to find all these things. But Laycons is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is with heat and seal Mylar bags, okay, which look very similar to the portal samples. You can get them in a variety of different colors. You basically would use some sort of heat source like a straightener to seal it. And then you have your own version of portal samples. A very easy way for you to label everything is with just store-bought labels, a sheet of labels that you can print on or that you can write on. Posh has blank sample containers that you can always throw on, the write on and use that, or you can get the fancy ones where Posh has where it's very well branded. But if you don't have the resources for that, then you can print stuff off at home. Or if you're not going to need a full sheet of a certain label, it might be more cost effective for you to be doing it from home, right? So like you can get the 1-inch labels, circle labels, because that's what fits on the Laycons here, like this. And you can use the portal samples, the resources, because we do have the files on hand so that you can print them off yourself, or you can write on it with your own handwriting, or you can just use a printer and just print it off. Doesn't have to be super fancy. This is what I actually currently have for several of them because I just needed something really quick and I didn't want to have to worry about getting the images and making sure everything lined up, and I just did this and using either Word to put it in there, or you can use the Avery templates to help you print out your stuff. But you want to make sure that everything that you have is labeled. So whether it is hand labeled or not, You want to make sure that it's labeled with what the product is, obviously, and then you want to label it with your information. Now, I really like the Rotec labels for products. That is for labeling stuff. That is my kind of go-to way to label stuff. And I label everything. I label product, I label samples, I label, like my Laycons are labeled with it. And I really like that one. But you can also just do the circle labels. You can go through the portal and purchase the portal labels. But either way, every single thing that you do that leaves your hands needs to be labeled, okay? Needs to have some form, some way for people to contact you, okay? So that is why you like smart sampling, right? So you want to make sure that all your samples are branded in some way and can trace back to you, right? So that's kind of like a no-brainer. That's like, hello, of course, right? For chunks and snarkies, you can cut them into smaller pieces and stick like a label on the baggie that you put it on. You don't have to make giant chunk samples if you don't want to. I do little like kind of like butter squares. That's kind of what they look like. They're little 1 by 1 inch squares that I use. However, when I first started out, I did make my sample sizes smaller, like significantly smaller, and it worked. You know, like a lot of the premieres when we first started, we did not have portal samples. Portal samples are relatively new in the world of Posh. So we had to think outside of the box and find different ways that worked for us. Laycons, the heat and seals, everyone has a preference of what they like. I personally prefer the Laycons because I just like that I can easily just put it in there. However, I do like the Mylars and the portal samples because I can mail it in a with a 70-cent stamp. So that's just preference. Just depends on what works best for you, right? So there's different ways, like I said, to sample things. You can be doing it with the portal samples, and you can just be handing out one sample per. You can do like a baggie of samples, like obviously this is a bunch of them, but you can put a business card in and throw a few Laycons and or portal samples in there and use that as a way to hand samples to people. You can come up with full-on sample packs that have a little bit more information, like a page from the catalog in your business card. You can do one with a catalog if you want to, if that's kind of depending on whatever just depends on your market, right? There's a lot of different ways to do it. There's other ways that you can do it with glue dots, which I do have pictures somewhere, and I don't have examples to show you guys, unfortunately. But we do have an album of sample graphics that you can use, but one of which is a card, like postcard size thing, and it has your information on it. It gives a little blurb about what Posh is, and it has 5 circles at the bottom, and it's like labeled like face wash, moisturizer, face mask, body scrub, and you can glue dot 5 Laycons on there for them to try. And that is a very easy way for you to get product out there as well, right? Samples out there as well. You can, if you're not going to hand out 5 samples because you just do not have the funds to do so. I do have a template for like mini mani pack, mini petty pack, or whatever. And all I did was make that up on PicMonkey, print it off on my computer, and cut out. Basically, they're almost like business card sized pieces of paper that just says, like mini mani from, Posh, from me, right? My information. And I glued a couple of samples on there, like scrub and then moisturize. And that is a very easy way for you to get samples out as well. So you don't have to feel like you have to put 5 samples on every single card that you pass out. You can do what works best for you. If you do not have body scrubs on hand, but you do have like lip scrubs on hand, then do a card with lip scrubs and lip product or something like that, right? So there's a lot of different ways for you to do it. I do just want to encourage you all. The whole point of this is to encourage you to do what works best for you. Do what works within your budget, within whatever you can find, and do it that way. Like as long as it's not ugly and it's pretty, then you're good. Make sure it's labeled, make sure it represents Posh, and that you have your sample packs ready to go, okay? Now, this is where being smart with sampling and being effective with sampling comes into play. Do you want to start handing out samples to every single person you meet? Sure, that's great. However, if you do not have a plan to follow up with them, then all those samples are going to waste. Okay? That's just kind of what it is. That's just the reality of things. Most people are not going to step outside and contact you. You need to make sure that they are taken care of. So when you're handing out samples, you need to make sure that you have a way to follow up with them. Okay? Whether you are getting their email or their phone or whatever to message them about how they like their samples, whether you're entering them into a drawing or getting them in your VIP group, or oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. Or if you're going to see them later, maybe there's somebody that you see often because they work at the grocery store, and you go, they're your favorite cashier, so you go to them every single time you're there. That's another way for you to follow up with that person. Handing out samples blindly to the masses and not following up is not very effective. It's not going to help because, yeah, your label's on there, but maybe they had no idea how to use the snarky bar and they just kind of like let it sit because they had no idea how to use it. Or perhaps they really love something, but then they just kind of forgot about it. Like they used it, they meant to call or they meant to, message you or whatever, but then it just got pushed to the back of their mind. Follow up, because good customer service really, 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 it's really important for you to follow up. Fortune is in the follow up for sure, okay? Now, a lot of this is basics, so if you've kind of been watching this and you're like, yeah, well, I know, right? Then some other ways for you to be a little bit, to hopefully get a better return on investment in your samples, on your samples that you're handing out, is to include an incentive to order, or an incentive to just a call to action, if you will. You can do this with every sample you pass out. You can do this with it just depends how you want to do it. But different examples of how you can be doing this is by including like a social media card and say, hey, love the pampering, love this pampering, post about it or share a picture or a review or whatever, tag me in it and get a prize, or something like that, right? Like social media, ask them to post about it and tag you. That's great for you because it exposes you to more people and they get something in return, whether it be a coupon for a future, or I'm sorry, a coupon to use on future product, free shipping, free gift. You can name the gift if you want, deluxe sample pack, anything, right? Offer them something. Again, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but this is one way for you to get a better return on investment. And whatever you incentivize, whatever call to action you put on there is going to help you, help you break out into more of your cold market and to get some orders in, right? Because you want these samples to turn into orders. You want this to make sense that you're sending out all these samples. And yeah, you're not every sample is necessarily going to yield an order right away. But if every 1 in 5 samples gets you a $50 order or something like that, you just need to kind of think about what makes sense for your business, okay? Sorry, I'm seeing comments, but they're not really like showing up for me. I have to go into another window to see them. So, hey guys that are here, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for jumping on. But yeah, so adding a call to action to your samples is going to help you because even if they don't make a purchase, but they are maybe sharing with their friends, adding people to your VIP group, or sharing on social media how much they love to be pampered, they get incentivized for that in one way or another. It could be something like a discount off of a future purchase or something like that. Make sure it's within your means, within your budget. But then that's great for you because then you get access and exposure to more people. And hopefully it gives them a little bit more sense of urgency to follow up with you, to reach out if they need anything, to order, to make those samples worth it, right? Um, so those are just several ideas of what you can be doing on there. But like, how many times have you gotten a package and you may not even notice that you're doing this, but maybe it has a social media card and they're like, hey, you can get a free thing just by tagging us in a photo with your order. And you're like, shoot, I can get a free thing? That's amazing, right? And you're like, well, duh, like I bought this because I like it. So yeah, sure, I feel fine sharing this. Yeah, okay, I'll tag you. That makes sense in the world that we are in these days. Tagging is not, and hashtagging things is not uncommon, right? So you can kind of take that and then turn it into how you can do that for your business. So whether it be you can do social media cards or a call to action with everything if you want. Share this with your friends, tag me, and be entered to win a prize or something like that, right? So that's going to help you give you a better return on investment. Like I said, whatever you guys do to incentivize, whatever you are doing to entice them to share or order or whatever, make sure it's within your means, okay? It doesn't have to be massive. If you see other people doing stuff and you're like, I want to do that, like sometimes sometimes you really need to focus on your business, what works best for your business, what makes sense for your business, and what makes sense for your customers, okay? Every business is different, every consultant is different, so it really just depends. Maybe one consultant does really well with a certain incentive while your customers would never care about that incentive. And then sometimes it's hit or miss and you just have to play with it and see what works best. Okay. All right. So, let's see. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're following up with all the people you are sharing with. You want to make sure that, you are the people that you are sampling products to. My first inclination is to have them in my VIP group, always. That should be the first thing that you are doing to get them into your VIP group. If you are talking to people through social media and you don't know these guys at all, you have no mutual friends, they just happen to find you on your social media account, then I do recommend that you do some sort of qualification for them in order for you to send out samples, okay? There are people out there, unfortunately, that take advantage of us as consultants, and they ask every single consultant to send them samples. And for the most part, we're nice. We do send out samples. But when it gets to the point where we find out the certain person, may have asked 20 consultants, then you know that there's not going to be consultant loyalty, and you're not really like, does it make sense for you to send stuff out, right? So I do recommend that you have some sort of qualification, whether it be to, Okay, so have some sort of qualification before you send out samples to complete strangers, okay? Whether it be, some things that I recommend is you can say that you don't send out samples. You only send out, well, you do send out samples, but you send out samples with every order placed on your website. No matter what size order is, you send out samples for that. Or, yeah, sure, join my VIP group and I send out samples to my VIPs. If you'll join my group, I will send out samples. Or something like that. Those are the two most common, I think, qualifications that I've seen, and those are usually the things that I like to do myself. But that helps me out because then it's a win-win. I get somebody in my VIP group that hopefully they're going to be able to see more about everything. They're going to learn more about the products. They're going to learn more about me, and then they're going to be able to try out samples, okay, or something like that. Or maybe they wanted to place an order anyway, so they're going to place an order. They're going to get samples in return for that, like more samples, obviously, right? So I do want to stress to you guys that I personally do not put free samples for all out for everybody. I do like to qualify people because I want to make sure that I'm not just sending it to somebody I don't know and then never hearing from them again. Because try as I might be trying to see what they think about this product and following up with this customer or potential customer, and they can block you, or they can delete their profile, or they just never respond. So it's usually nice to have some sort of qualification, just to be safe. Okay. All right, so there is that. You want to make sure that you're keeping that in mind. When you are doing events, sampling is at the table. That is at the booth. That is what I personally recommend. Obviously, it depends on your market, but I usually do not hand samples out unless this is some special reason to. In my personal experience, I have handed out so many samples, and it was actually it didn't do anything. I got no return on investment there. So if you are having a booth anyway, encourage people to come try stuff out there, at the booth. Yes, you could totally hand out samples and be like, hey, follow me on Facebook for a free gift, or, and it's a sample pack or something, or join my VIP group for a free gift, and you could totally do something like that. And in that case, you're using a qualifier in person, a qualifier for customers to get samples for you to gain more followers, or members of your group, etc. Right? So there's one way you can do it when you're in person. Like you can do that with when you're doing home parties, one-on-ones, that kind of stuff. You can also ask somebody, they can join your group, they get sample packs, right? Anyone that joins your group, you want to make sure that you're talking to. So welcome them. See if you can do anything to help, and that's just one of the ways for you to easily use samples as leverage. Use it in a way to grow your business. So that's one way you can do it with in-person stuff, right? And then with when you're doing orders and you're handing out orders or anything like that, or following up with thank yous for purchasing, I do like to include samples as well, because I feel like that's just a really nice way to do it. But like I said, smart and effective sampling, we're talking about smart and effective sampling, right? If you are talking to a customer, and maybe they're a previous customer, or you are thanking them for their order, or you are including a sample with their cash and carry purchase, take a look at what samples you're giving them. Take a look at what they have purchased in the past, what they really liked at the table but they didn't buy. Take what they wanted in the catalog but didn't purchase, etc. Take a look at what that is, what you can kind of bundle together for them, and include that in their order, or include that in this thank you follow-up, right? That is another way to be a little bit more smart with your sampling. If you know somebody who purchases pretty much everything from the Look Natural line, and they are all over the anti-aging stuff, then maybe you should take a look at what you have that you can send to them as well. Maybe prize on the eyes because it's new, and maybe they haven't tried it yet, but you know that they are obsessed with maybe impish eyes and they never grow up stuff. Then prize on the eyes is definitely something that they need to know about, right? And that's how you can approach it too. You're like, oh my gosh, I know you love this stuff. This just came out and I immediately thought of you. I thought, like, I hope you love it, that kind of thing, right? But yeah, so the same thing with if someone is purchasing soap and lotion, perhaps include a body scrub. What's a complimentary thing for them to use with their products that they already have, or they've already purchased, just recently purchased? What's a complimentary item? And that way you are bundling things. Then you're giving them ideas of what they could be purchasing in the future. You're giving them ideas on how they can be using the products, and that is going to be a great way for you to kind of upsell, if you will, different more variety of products. Okay, like if someone only buys chunk bars and they love chunk bars and that's all they purchase and they never want to look at anything else, maybe think within what their scents are. Maybe they love all of the vanilla and warm scents, and that's what they go after. Then maybe include a hand cream that has that similar scent, or a snarky bar, or something like that, right? This is cross-selling and upselling. There's just a bunch of sell terms in there, but this is a really great way for you to take what you know about what they like and then give them something that you think that they're going to enjoy, and then hopefully help them branch out into different products. There's a bit more intentional in your sampling and the way that you're handing out samples, right? So that is another idea of how you can be doing that. My biggest thing, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Feel free to post them. But my biggest, I guess, point on all of this is that you really need to think about what works best for you and what makes sense for your business. If you do not talk about a certain product, and then maybe it doesn't make any sense. If you've never tried a certain product, maybe it makes no sense for you to sample it out, But if you are obsessed with something, maybe you should be including it in every single one of your sample packs because that's all you talk about, Take a look at what you do in your business. Take a look at what your budget is, how effective these samples are, and make sure that you're building that into your business. If handing out 6 samples is a big strain on your budget and a strain on, and it's not being, you're not getting this return on investment that you should be getting, then maybe you need to pare it down, and maybe you need to focus on a few samples, or maybe only a couple samples. Maybe Laycons are amazing, but you cannot continue to send out packages that cost $2 to $3 every time you ship it out, right? Just because of the Laycons and shipping and all that stuff. Maybe that's just not within your budget, and your business is solely online and sending, and you use a mail a lot. Then maybe portal samples make more sense to you. Maybe portal samples are a better investment for you because you're not going to be paying as much for shipping, or the Mylar heat and seals, depending on what it is that you're doing. Purchasing product also, okay. You can also, again, purchase product to help with your PV. You get commission on it as well, and then you can make your samples, like I said. Yes, it's more time consuming, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it works better for your business. Maybe it just really depends on where you are in your business and what makes sense for you. But these are different ways for you to be doing that. Like with newbies, with their starter kit, you can definitely take your starter kit, turn everything into testers and or samples, and use that as a way for you to start sharing Posh right away. For example, whenever I get like a transition kit or anything like that, one of the first things I do is cut up the chunks into smaller pieces so that I can sample them out. Because a $9 chunk soap bar I can turn into, roughly 25 to 30 samples or something like that. I don't remember my last count. But I can turn it into, 25 samples from a $9 bar. And that is a generous, that's me giving generous sizes. I could totally go smaller if I wanted to. And then I would get even more. But that's the first thing I do with any of my soaps. I get the one that I think that everyone is going to like. I cut them all up, and everybody gets some soap because I love the chunk bars, and it's a very, very cheap and easy way for me to sample product out because all I need is something to wrap my chunks in, and I have tons of Ziploc bags, or you can wrap it in paper or tissue or whatever and tape it up. There's a lot of different ways for you to do it. All right, so hopefully that helps. Biggest thing to take away from this is that whatever you're sampling, make sure that it makes sense for your business. Make sure that you are following up, and make sure that you are thinking about what makes sense, and what works best for you and your business, you and your customers. Okay. All right. Does that help? I hope that does. If you guys have questions, let me know. I am not seeing any at the moment, but if you are watching this recording later and you have questions, feel free to leave a comment. Reach out to your sponsor, reach out to your premier, post a question, or post if you need inspiration. Look in the team page, search for samples or sample packs, and take a look at what people have done in the past. A lot of what I'm saying has been stuff that I've posted before, or I showed before at some point, but there are other people that do different things, and I love it. It's amazing. If you need more examples, feel free to post on the team page, ask for some help, ask for some information, inspiration, and there's so many different ways to do this that it's just, I want to make sure you guys know that it's You don't have to do like 6 samples with every single thing plus a catalog, paying like $5 for shipping, right? Because for most people, that doesn't make any sense, right? For their business. You can't do that for every single person, especially as your business grows, okay? So yeah, I'm going to end this because I feel like I'm repeating myself now. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. I've already said all that stuff. So if you guys are if you guys are liking this, let me know because hopefully this is helpful to you guys. But I will talk to you guys next week. Have a wonderful night. See you guys.